I don't even have any... I don't even have anything quippy to say. I did not appreciate this movie as much as I was hoping I would. Yeah, you know, the premise for this, based on the trailers that I had seen, looked pretty interesting. And Adam Driver, so when I saw this trailer the first time, I was reminded of one of the Predators movie with Adrian Brody in it. And I remember stating that Adrian Brody, there was just no way he could convince me that he could be like an action star or whatever. Sorry, let me start the slideshow. And I have felt pretty similarly about Adam Driver. I know he was in like the Star Wars, but he just doesn't strike me as an action star. However, when I saw the trailer for this, I was pretty convinced. And part of the reason is because he was in the military in real life. So he knows what the hell he's doing when it comes to things like combat, handling weaponry, stuff like that. So I think he can convince me a little bit more. And in this movie, he does a decent job at carrying off those sorts of things. So no real complaint there as far as that goes. But the problem I had with this film, and this might get a little spoilery, I'll try not to make it spoilery in case you're really interested to see it, but some of the things I really want to say might entail spoilers. Anyway, the premise of the movie is he crash lands on Earth 65 million years in the future. I mean, in the future, oh my gosh. In the past, a long time ago. When I saw this, I originally thought that this was going to be a sort of like a time travel type thing. Like he was traveling through space and he went through some sort of whatever and ended up accidentally on Earth 65 million years in the past. No. He's not human. They're not supposed to be human because it says something like at the very beginning, prior to the advent of mankind, there were like these other civilizations that explored the universe. So he's not supposed to be human, but he looks like a human. He has all human body parts. They even use the same language. They have things like ropes. Yeah, the weaponry is futuristic, but that doesn't necessarily scream totally different civilization to me. That just screams more advanced human. So, but like he came from, I think it said he came from a planet Somaris or something like that. So right away when that was revealed, I mean, I think it would have worked better if it had been a time travel thing. So when I realized, oh, we're not dealing with humans. These are just, okay. But that threw me right there. I think they should have made him look, and the little girl, not as human as they looked. Because they don't look, whatever. Okay, so there's that. This movie has a very solitary feel. There are only 4 actors that show up in here. Adam Driver and the little girl, who is a really good actress, by the way. I was very impressed with her acting ability in here. I believe this is the first time I've ever seen her. And then Adam Driver's wife and his daughter. And I'm not generally a huge fan of solitary type movies. I mean, they can work for me sometimes. It really depends on the film. This one, I knew going into it that it was probably going to be very solitary. I could tell by the trailer. So yes, there's that. Oh yeah, with regard to mentioning how they're not supposed to be human or part of mankind, but that they speak English, they have the same words for things that we do, they have the same sort of supplies and stuff like a rope, and they use the same unit of measurements that humans do. Or the same units of measurements. They talk about kilometers or something. What? So that just kind of threw me right out of him. Like, if you're not supposed to be, whatever. Okay, I think I made my point on that. Anyway, there were some cool things about this movie. By the way, I don't think those scenes were in there. I don't remember seeing that part in the film. So does seem like there were some things that were removed. This is not a very long film. It's only about an hour and a half. One of the cool things that I liked was he has this little device that can tell him what's in the proximity, or like he can tell he's like however many kilometers away from this thing that he needs to get to. And there's this scene where he's like, there's this, I don't know, some type of dinosaur or whatever, like reminded me a little bit of like a velociraptor or something. Anyway, whatever. And they're fighting each other, and it's showing part of the fight through the eyes of this scanner thing. It's like a hologram 3D type thing. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought the scenery was convincingly prehistoric Earth, the way they had things, and you know, the different animals and everything. And like I said, the premise was cool. They tied in something that happened with what's going on in their situation, and I thought that was an interesting premise. But the way it was executed, the way things happened in the end with regard to this particular event, was like, oh, really? The timing? Okay. A lot of the problems with this film have to do with just things that don't make a lot of sense. Like, I'll give you an example. Well, I'll give you a few examples probably. He gets in a fight with this particular animal. It grabs his arm, but he has no injury, no blood. Okay. He gives the little girl, I'm getting into a little bit of spoilery stuff. He gives the little girl these little explosive things. It shows them in the trailer. He gives her these things to use if she needs. She proceeds to use all of them on one stinking little velociraptor-y looking thing when one would have done the job. But she blows all of them. That was annoying. There's also scenes like at some point they get separated and then something happens to him. He's in this situation and she just happens to come along and save him at the right moment. Okay. Like the chances, the likelihood of that were just like, no. Anyway, things that occur where the exact thing at the exact spot happens at the exact right time. The chances of that. All right. She doesn't speak the same language as him because she's from some other, I can't remember what he called her. I cannot remember what he called like the type of class or group that she belonged to, but she doesn't speak English. I mean, she'll say some words like repeating what he says, but she speaks a whole different language. And it just amazes me that she somehow magically understands almost everything he's telling her. How? Don't know. There's just no way that would actually happen in real life. She would not know what the hell he's saying and everything would go wrong. And then there's another instance where he asks her to climb up this place and use this rope and attach it to something secure or safe. She somehow magically knows how to do that. And not only that, but she attaches that rope to every freaking thing in front of her in this place. And yet there's still enough rope to come all the way down this cliffside or wherever it was he was climbing up from. Okay. Then there's a scene where these are things I wrote down. There's a scene where he has this gun and there's these two, I think they look like T-Rexes or types like that. And he shoots one of them. One shot kills this thing. And then on the second one, multiple shots doesn't kill it. Okay. And then there's this part where he's leading a dinosaur to a geyser because this dinosaur's coming after him, and he'd seen this geyser before, and so he's leading the dinosaur to it, and somehow magically the geyser goes off at the exact right moment. Like, all right. You know, it just... And then the little girl, there's these berries and he had told her not to eat these berries. So she takes them and she mashes them up into a leaf and she wraps this stick around it, I guess, to make like a poison sticky weapon. And at the right exact moment, she manages to jump up and stab this T-Rex thing the eye. Like, number one, how the hell did she even know that would actually kill the animal? Really, the pointy thing would have been what killed it. Number two, the chances of her actually being able to stab that beast where she stabbed it at the exact right moment is so low. And then when there's a point where they're navigating to a particular place, trying to get to somewhere in their like little ship or whatever, and there's stuff falling all around them, they never get hit. They manage to escape all of that. So it's like there's these things, there's this stuff that happens in here that just doesn't make any sense. Like, you can only suspend your disbelief but so many times when it comes to certain movies. So yeah, you'd say, well, okay, you're complaining, moaning, bitching, and complaining about the fact that you have all these issues with these things, and yet you're completely willing to accept the premise of this whole other civilization that comes to Earth 65 million years ago. Well, but this is the framework we're given. But within that framework, even though it's something that's like, yeah, no, never, that couldn't happen, whatever, within that framework, you still expect a certain semblance of reality to keep things anchored. And when all sorts of illogical things happen and stuff that's just like, there's no way this could occur, after a while it starts to get really annoying. And that was how I felt when this movie was done. Now, I went into this thing not knowing what reviews were or anything like that. I had seen the trailers. I thought the trailers looked appealing. The people that worked on A Quiet Place, who directed this, I think that's what somebody said, that the writer of sorry, hold on one moment. I forgot that I need to, I'm in it. Okay, this is a tangent, but I'm in a clinical study right now for an asthma medication, and I took my medicine before I started filming this, and then I forgot to do my diary entry. Oops. So I'll be right back. This is the real deal. I do not have a placebo. This is amazing. That's actually a really good number for me, by the way. When I'm not on medication to control my asthma, when I'm not on steroids, I'm blowing into the 200s. And this is close to 400. I did not get placebo, and I knew it the other day when I went there. I was tight and I was dosed, and within 5 to 10 minutes I was opening up. So, okay, tangent, I'll be back. Okay, let me try to remember what I was saying. Oh, I think I was saying that I went into this not knowing any reviews. The people that had, I think that I had been told, or I had seen, or I knew, I think the discussion came up in the live stream I was on today with, on Mike's channel, Did You See That? That the people that wrote A Quiet Place directed this movie. So I felt like that was probably something in its favor. And I think that Sam Raimi was involved in this somehow, maybe producer, whatever. So I went into this expecting it was going to be a certain level of quality. And it wasn't. Oh, there was something I remembered now that I was getting ready to say when I got interrupted by something during my review, was that the live stream that I was on right before I had to leave, one of the participants mentioned that there had been no screeners that had been offered for that particular movie, and that usually indicated that the movie wasn't very good. And I thought about that as I was watching this and writing down my different issues that I had with it. That, yeah, well, in this case, I that seemed to be the case. Okay, back to the video. And after I was out of the theater watching it, I was waiting to for Scream 6 to start. I looked up the reviews for this. Well, first I went back to the live stream that I had to leave to go to the double feature, and I made a comment on there that it was meh. And someone responded and said that they had heard it wasn't good. Well, I hadn't heard that. So then I go and I check the reviews of, like critical reviews. They're very low. Audience reviews are a little bit more kind to it at the moment, but I have a feeling that might drop. Right now it's in the mid 60s. I couldn't even really give it that high. I mean, gosh, bless it. I think I gave it 2.5. So like 50%. Maybe I'll be a little kinder to it and raise it to 3, but now I don't even feel like it's a 3-star just because of all those things that were happening that bothered me, that got under my skin, that prevented me from fully appreciating this. If there had just been maybe like 1 or 2 things like that, but no, this movie was filled with them, and not at the very beginning, but as things progressed, it was filled with these issues. And so that prevented me from enjoying this to the extent that I expected that I might would. I mean, I went into it like, I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up. But I'll be honest with you. I was thinking that it was going to be better than this. And unfortunately, it just wasn't. Not for me. You guys, if you watch it, you may feel completely different about it. I know, I totally get that. But yeah, she was a great actor. I thought she did a really good job. And Adam Driver was fine. There was nothing about their performances that brought this movie's quality down. It was all with the writing. The writing was the core of the problem. And so there's not much you can do when you have a bad script. And they couldn't save it. So, oh well, it's better than Moonfall, but still. Okay, I don't have anything else. I've ranted about this longer than I thought I would. I've got to move on and do my review for Scream 6. I feel like I'm going to have more to say on that one. And so we'll see you guys later. Bye.